I hope you all have written your C code and Java code in a similar fashion. You have opened some of the editor, okay, and you have used the compiler of C compiler like GCC or whatever the compiler you have used, or Java C compiler and all, and you have similarly you might have written the command to run your Java file or C file and all, and finally you get the output in the terminal itself. So that kind of programming is called command line environment. Okay, but at least for Python we are not using this environment, but it is available to you. You can use this particular environment. Is that clear, everyone? Is this clear? How to run your Python code after installing, especially for the people who joining us for the first day. I would like to answer this their question, as well as people who have already attended. If they have any question, please let me know so that I can answer your question. Yeah, Venkat. Okay, Venkat was asking me to show how to set the variable. I thought of to show you at the end, guys, but now let us see how to set the variable. If you are facing any problem in running the Python, most of the time the problem with setting the variable. So if you wanted to set the variable, as I already told you, we are navigated to this particular location, right? We went to control panel actually by right clicking on properties of your computer. So once you go here, you see there is a option called advanced system setting. Please note down or take a screenshot, Venkat, so that it will help you. So there is an option called advanced system setting. So click on that advanced system setting. It will give you a pop-up thing again. Okay, a pop-up thing, and you can see here environment variable. Right, that is what you're asking. This is how we set the environment variable. So when I click on this environment variable, there are a lot of environment variable you have set, but you just type a new here and type path. So you type path, and you can see here that you will have many things here. Now you will have many already things, but you need to copy where the Python is installed. You see, this is where my Python is installed actually. This is a location where my Python is installed. Let me show you this location where Python is actually installed. Okay, I think I have closed it, but anyhow, I'll show you. This is where my Python is installed. C users, okay, Yunus slash app data slash local slash program slash Python and slash Python 37. So they automatically made this folder in my this location, and they have installed my Python 37 3.7 actually. This is the thing where you can copy. You can search Python, like I have searched Python ideally, right? You just right click and say open file location. It will open the file location. This is the file location actually, and you can search our Python. I actually have searched for ideally, which is a shortcut. It opened me here, or else I will go here now. I will copy paste this location, and you can see here this is where the Python is installed. You have a lot of folders like PyCache, DLL, doc, okay, include, libraries, script, share, TCL, tools, all the things required to write Python. This is your Python interpreter. So this is your Python interpreter installed, and this is the location of your Python. So first you know the location, copy the location of your thing, and go here and create a new folder. Okay, create new. Say you go to path and say edit and say new, and you paste it here. Now that's all you need to do, guys. That's all you need to do to set the environment variable for Python, and make sure you say click OK, 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 so that will get saved. I'm clicking cancel because I don't want to set. It's already set for me. Understood, Venkat, how to set the Python variable, environment variable? It's not only for Venkat, for everyone. You should know how to set the Python environment variable. It's very easy. The way you set other programming language environment variable, similar way you will do it now. Okay. So once again, I will show you. If anybody having confusion, I'll show you. You have to go to this properties. Okay, and you click on advanced system setting, and this will pop open you another pop-up. By default, it will be in advanced. Otherwise, you go to advanced, and there is a variable called environment variable. Click on environment variable. They will open this window called system variable and user variable. Go to user variable and click on path. There will be already a variable available called path. Click on edit and copy the location of the where Python is installed and paste it here. Say click new and paste that one and click OK. So that way it will install the Python path. So path will get set up so that you can, because why we are setting up the path, we are telling the operating system where my Python interpreter is installed. Otherwise, this line will give an error. They will say that Python is not recognized as an internal or external command, because a operating system doesn't know where the Python is installed. Because whenever you're invoking Python interpreter from command prompt or from anywhere, the operating system should know where it is installed, right? So that's why we have set the path. So if anybody getting a question in their mind, like why we have set the path, this is the reason why we have set the path, so that your operating system will know that where your Python is installed. Understood, everyone? Any questions regarding this first thing, like Python command line environment? Okay. Thank you, Raman. Okay. Thank you, Obul, for confirming. Yeah, basic thing what I expect from everyone is the confirmation, guys, as it is online. So please help me out that way, so that yeah, it is auto set. It is auto set, Shekhwat. But sometimes you need to you, if you don't select the path properly. Yeah, that's what SK. Because I told you after 3.4, it will automatically install pip and automatically set the path. Because once you click on install, actually, it will show you like this. Let me show you. Okay, when you try to install Python, okay, I'll show you here now. When you try to install Python, like this is the installation of Python actually. When you try to install Python, it will show you this. As you can see here, add path to add Python 3.x to path. By default, it will get selected. That's what I told you. It is by default get selected, or you please select them. So automatically it will set the path here. If it is unselected, then it will be an issue and you have to set manually. As Venkat has asked, that's why I ask people if anybody facing the problem with path. Not all of you. Few of you may face the problem with path, because at the time of installation, you might not have selected this option. Yeah, that's what, Kiran. That's what. It will update by default if you only select this, guys. Kiran, if you unselect this, it will not set the path, then you have to set it manually. Understood, everyone? This is what I'm talking about. That when you install this Python, you'll get this option. By mistake, if you unselect it or if you forgot to select it, then path will not be set, then you have to set it manually. And the knowledge is required, guys. Somebody may ask you, right? Someday you tell that installing Python, and some of your friend might be facing some problem with path. So you can explain them like this is how you set the path. So this is an add-on knowledge, but it is required. Okay, so that's the thing. So I hope everybody understood now that how to set the path and how to work with command line environment. Okay, same like C, Java, and other programming languages. Especially few languages like JavaScript, Python, and all, Ruby, and all, they give another approach called shell. Okay, shell-based programming. Shell-based programming. What is mean by shell-based programming? In short, I would like to talk about like shell, like a biology shell is a mediator between you and the underlying system. Similarly, your Python shell or any programming language shell is a mediator between you and the kernel. Like you can talk to kernel directly. So it's fast, it's a convenient way of writing the program, but generally it is not, this environment is not used to write big programs. This environment is used to write, to debug your program, to test your program and all. So Python also provides you shell-based environment. Now, even if you are familiar with Java, now Java 9 also introduced JShell, which is Java shell. So shell is one of the good environment to work with a programming language, and having a knowledge is always good, because we also start with shell actually to teach you and to learn Python and all. It's a good environment actually. So you can select any environment what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you wanted to work with Python shell, what you need to do is, again you have to go to command prompt, okay, and you can type Python. That's all. Type Python, it will take you to the Python shell. Now you see that Python shell has been started. With this three greater than symbol, you can see that it's you're in already shell now. Now what you can do is you can start executing your Python code here. You can say hello world, okay, hello here directly, hello shell, or hello REPL. REPL stands for read, execute, print, and loop back. So this environment is generally called it as REPL environment. Okay, when I press enter, when I just go here and press enter, you can see that the output is getting printed now. So it will read this instruction, execute the instruction, print the output, and loop back so that you can execute next instruction. Okay, Shikawat, I will tell you again. So this environment is generally called it as REPL environment, or shell-based programming actually. So first thing I told you that you can open a command prompt and you can execute the program. It's a little lengthy process, right? You have to open a notepad, you have to write the program, save the file in some location, open the command prompt, take you to the file location, run the Python interpreter, and then you can execute the Python. Sometimes you don't want to do this big thing, you just wanted to check few lines of code, so you can simply go to command prompt and type Python. Okay, don't give a file name because I did not write any file yet. So I just give Python, it will take you to the Python shell now. It will show you which Python version you have installed, when it has installed, some help, and all it will give you. When you get this 3 greater than symbol, means you're already into the shell now, you can write any of the Python code here. But let me, if I turn off, I cannot see Vishwajit. So that's why I need to have it. I can understand it shows you sometime a black box. I'll just adjust the position, but if I minimize, I cannot see your chat. So that's it makes the gap. So I need to put it on. Okay, if you face any problem, let me know. Okay, so now you can see here it's printing. I can write the code here and I can print the code directly here now. Next line, I can write some other line. Like this time I want to add 2 plus 3. It's a perfectly fine. I'll give you the answer. I wanted to take an input. Like I will say name is equal to enter your name. This is how I can take input in Python. I can say enter your name. So when I execute this enter your name, it's printing enter your name. For example, I will enter the name as Kumar, Vishwajit Kumar. Okay, if I enter the name as Kumar, it will print me. If I print name now, it will print me the name as Kumar. It has saved the name as Kumar now. So this way I can write my code. But this environment is a single liner code, guys. Okay, you cannot write multiple lines here. It's a single line. It takes the input, interprets, and give you the output. It takes the write the code, it read the code, execute the code, print the code, and loop back. That is why it is called REPL environment. Shekawat, is it okay for you, or anybody else having any question regarding this environment called shell-based environment? It's not available with every programming language. That's why it's sometimes new to you. If you are from C background or Java background and all, you might have not worked with this environment. That's why it's new to you. If you are from JavaScript, Ruby and all, they already have this shell-based environment, so it's not new. And even DOS has shell-based environment. And even if you are from Linux and all, I hope you have done some shell programming as well in Linux, right? Understood all? This is second environment we have. The third environment we have, which is GUI shell. GUI shell, okay, GUI shell, which is the default one provided by Python. This is a default one provided by Python, and it was named as IDLE. IDLE. It was a name under Eric Idle, and some people also give full form as Integrated Development Learning Environment, but actually it was named under a person called Eric Idle, which is again a member of Monty's Python Flying Circus. So basically, initially I prefer, if you ask me which way I should follow, because I am showing all the way, but there will be a confusion again. So no confusion, guys. This is for your knowledge, but I recommend you to start with this environment now, which is called graphical user interface shell programming. So how to launch this graphical user interface shell programming? If you no need for command prompt now. I'm closing the command prompt. I'll also show you how to get out of this thing. So I can say quit to come out of that shell, and I can say exit to exit my command prompt. My command prompt is gone. So now I learn command line environment and shell based programming using command prompt. I can launch that program. Now GUI shell, you can directly go to the Python location where you have installed, or you can simply type IDLE. It will show you the IDLE now. Python IDLE, click on that. It will open this window, which is GUI shell, graphical user interface shell. Same like what we did from command prompt. The only thing is it's graphical, and there you have run from command prompt. Obviously, graphical environment is much flexible and easy to use. So that's why I prefer for this particular thing for startup actually. If you ask me which is a good for a startup or which is a good for beginners, then I will tell you this IDLE is a good way of learning or writing your Python programs, guys. Don't worry if you're not working with all the way. Don't worry. You can simply type IDLE and it will open a graphical user interface shell and you can start writing the program as I did just now. I can write my print and I can say hello. Okay, IDLE. This is a name for this environment. Hello IDLE. Then it will print me hello IDLE now. It will print me hello IDLE. And also if you have a big programs to write, then it will also provide you the editor. You can open a new editor and start writing the code here. You can start writing the code. Like I can write addition of two numbers, a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, and c is equal to a plus b, and print c. This is how you write a simple addition program in Python. Now I will just save this file first of all. Okay, I'll say save. I will save it as wherever you want, you can save it. I'll save in the current location. Yes, it says already exists. I will run this or press F5. When you click on run module, it will run and get you the output here now. So for big programs, the shell is not good. So this IDLE also provides you the editor so that you can write the code and you can run the code and you can see the output here. So this is little flexible, little comfortable for the beginners. So I will recommend to go this way. But you follow anyway, the programming language remains same, guys. Development environment is an option to write the program. Development environment is an option to write the program. So how to write the program? There are multiple ways to write the program for any programming language. It is totally your call to select anyone. So, sir, Python shell also comes under shell-based programming. No, yeah, Python shell is one of the way you can. It's shell-based programming. This is an environment by which you can write Python code. Satyam. Okay, now the final thing, the fourth thing I would like to talk about, where I can use IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. It stands for integrated, okay, sorry, Integrated Development Environment. Integrated Development Environment. So basically, every programming languages also have some IDEs called Integrated Development Environment. Okay, so they are provided by third parties. So you can use because Integrated Development Environment will integrate everything: your Python interpreter, your editor, the output to display the output window, okay, or other tools, debugger, lot of things they will integrate together to make your programming life easy. Okay, but we'll start with IDLE and we'll start exploring this all IDEs one after the other, guys. But anyhow, if you have already installed this IDE and you want to work with, I told you you can start working for it. But for the beginners, it is not recommended. If you think like you are still beginners in any programming language, please do not use integrated development environment, because they use intelligence and they'll show you the code. Whatever you are typing, they'll give you hints. And if you get hint, you get used to, and you cannot write the program without IDEs. You cannot write the program without IDEs. So that's why it is not recommended for beginners. But it is one of the very important thing to be known, guys. This is one of the very important thing to be known, because when you join in any company, they started working with IDEs only. You will not start with command prompt or IDLE, whether it is C, Java, C Sharp, or whatever the programming language, you will start working with IDEs now. So IDEs, there are many IDEs available for Python. Like you have a popular IDE like PyCharm. PyCharm is an IDE to write Python code or HTML code, CSS code, JavaScript code and all. If you wanted to download Python, you can go to JetBrains and you can download Python. It's an application. It's very easy to download, guys. Okay, it's very easy to download. You can check later, no problem. You have other IDE like Atom. Okay, you have IDE like Spider. You have IDE like Jupyter notebook. It was initially called as IPython notebook or Jupyter notebook, okay, or Anaconda version of Jupyter notebook, whatever you call it as, Jupyter notebook, Spider, Atom, PyCharm, etc., etc. So there are hundreds. You can also write your program in Eclipse. You can write the program in Visual Studio. So these are the editors for C Sharp and Java and all. You can write those programs as well. But these are the popular IDEs available. We are going to explore all of them in our course slowly. Whenever we require, we'll introduce PyCharm to you. We introduce Atom. We introduce Spider. We introduce Jupyter Notebook. Basically, if you wanted to start your career as a data science, as a data scientist, sorry, I will recommend these two IDEs for you guys. I will recommend you to this Spider or Jupyter notebook to start with. Okay, so download debugging symbols are need while installing Python. No, Rajshekhar, it's not like that. While installing Python, you don't require that particular thing. So I'm concluding this development environment. Let me check anybody having any question regarding this development environment now. See, it's backup class, but I'm trying to give everything. I hope the people who attended the earlier session, uh, the same thing what we learn, I'm telling you the everything, right? Yeah, Aditi, Jupyter Notebook, but it does not give hints. Okay, but generally it have lot of other features as well. Okay, so that's why I told you that if you are if you wanted to make your career as a data scientist, then you can go with Jupyter Notebook. There is no problem. Okay, that's true, Aditi. Jupyter Notebook does not give any hints and all, so you can go with Jupyter Notebook in that way. It works something similar to your shell, but it's more advanced. Okay, it's more advanced. So you can go either with Jupyter Notebook or ideally if you want, no problem at all for me. But PyCharm, Atom, Spider and all, let's introduce later. So I'm not going to show you all these things right now as I shown you for other people, but as I'm not going to use it, so I'm not going to use you PyCharm, Atom or Jupyter Notebook right now. We will explore later. Is that clear for everyone? If you wish, you can explore, no problem, but we will start using it later. IDE is not a big deal, guys. Once you start learning programming language, exploring the IDE is very easy. So Ubul confirm, Vishwajit confirms, thank you. Aditi confirms, thank you. Ram, thank you. Please confirm me that any question regarding this topic called development environment. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Raman. No, no, Vamshi, you don't need to set any path for PyCharm. It automatically takes. You need to install Python before, right? So if it is not, it asks you while installing Vamshi, if it is Python is not installed. Otherwise, it will automatically take the path. Okay, read the things when you install PyCharm or when you install any IDE. You need to read the instructions properly. So it will guide you automatically. Most of the time, you need to click next, 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 but read it out. Just don't directly click next, 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 because you need to read it out where it is getting installed, what tools it's getting installed, and everything you need to get it. You don't need to like what kind, that's what I'm asking, Shekhawat. You can ask me questions to get confident. See, this is one way, as it is backup class, so it will be like an overview. Okay, so it's not like a regular class to get 100% confidence, I do agree, but you can fill up the gap by asking the questions. Time is not a problem for us, Shikawat. We can take an extra time today, no problem. Okay, but come up with your questions so that your confidence level will get increased and that will bridge the gap. Okay. No, I will definitely do that, Shikawat, but you also come up with your questions. So let me answer one by one question now. That's what the Shikawat asked me. Venkat says that what is the difference between Anaconda? Okay, Venkat, if you install the Anaconda version here, it will install with 700 predefined libraries required. It's very important for data scientist or data science application, Venkat, and all the modules required to build up a data science application. or machine learning or artificial intelligence application will get installed, like pandas, numpy, scikit-learn. So whenever you load that Python, it will load all the files in the your RAM, and it will be heavy, and your it makes your system slow. That's why for if I will recommend you later on, Venkat, when you actually started learning data science, then you can go for Anaconda version. But now you don't install because it will make your system very slow. Got my point, Venkat? I hope it's okay now. Difference between Python and Anaconda. When you install Python, it only comes with default packages. It not comes with extra packages. You have to install separately. And installing the packages is very easy, Venkat. So don't worry about it. So basically, most of the people will recommend you to go with normal Python initially. If you're taking a course like data science and all, then they will recommend you to go for Anaconda, or if you're making some projects and all, then I will recommend you to go for Anaconda version, otherwise not required. The only difference is it comes with all predefined libraries. Yeah, definitely, Shekawat. Not only me, everybody here will support you with all the way. Yeah, definitely, SK. That's also one of the point. Like Anaconda is from third party. That's what it's like a package. They given you a complete package, and they'll tell you something like if you take an example like booking a ticket, flight ticket from some like direct person, like direct dealer, or booking a ticket of your flight from goibibo.com or somewhere else. Like it's like third party. So that's true. That's one of another point. Like Python is from the direct developer. Anaconda is a third party tool. It's a distribute. Very good. Yeah, very good. SK, thank you for helping us. So okay, as Shekawat asked to give an overview, I'll give an overview. But come up with your question, guys, so that it will help others as well. I always keep telling that come up with questions generally. Okay, because that way your clarity and your because online sessions generally will be very useful, and it will be very interesting because you can see me live, like what I am doing. I'm executing the code here, writing the code here. I believe that it's more comfortable than your offline because you're alone, okay, and you're comfortable. You're sitting in your place with AC, with all the setup, okay. And also sometimes you can have some snacks while listening. All the flexibility to you, which you generally don't get in offline classes. So all flexibility. Only thing, one request, you can do whatever you want. Only one request from you, all of you, that please ask questions if you not followed anything, or at least confirmation that you followed or not followed. That's the only minimum thing I required from you. The other thing is like practicing the programs and all, that is a secondary, but minimum a request from everyone. Otherwise, everything I will take responsibility for explaining, for writing the code, everything, whatever you want, it's my responsibility. Your responsibility is to make me sure that you understood or not understood. If you didn't understood, like come up with your question. And for asking questions, you don't have to type, guys, because sometimes you feel like big questions cannot be typed. You always can speak to me. Just need to tell me that I wanted to speak. I will allow you to speak because I generally mute everyone, so that will not have any disturbance. Okay. So if you want to speak, tell me. I will unmute you. You can ask me questions. Okay, this is what I wanted to tell you. Please be feel free. We will if sometimes if you feel like another flexibility, if you feel like the question is not good, you can ask me privately also, guys. Believe me, I will not take your name. Okay, because some it happens, right? Will not would like will feel like what others will think if I ask this question. Okay, try to ask question generally, because we all traveling in one ship. There's nothing wrong. Questions will never be silly or never be like dumb. Questions are always questions, guys. But still, if you feel like you need to ask me privately, you can ask me privately. So this online platform is so flexible, okay, to learn actually. Free, feel free to learn. Yeah, we will also give PDFs. We will also give notes. Don't worry, whatever the material, whatever the documentation you require, we'll give you along with exercises, homeworks and all. Okay. Actually, I'm using Paint here because to the iPad I'm using was older one, so I lost the CD which got the application. So I have to use Paint here to write it. Actually, generally with iPad, I will get a application which is more comfortable generally. But I lost the CD and I changed my laptop, so I did not have that application. So unfortunately, I have to use this Paint. I hope it's like comfortable for everyone. Okay, that's what from SK. So I would like to answer. Yeah, so this is what the thing. And there was another question like, please discuss some information about Python uses interpreter. Yeah, compiler versus interpreter. Yeah, I did not discuss in this because it's a like backup class, but definitely I will conclude that. Okay, I will talk about compiler as well as interpreter as well. Good. Sir, can you please good book for refer along with your session to get complete clarity? Definitely, definitely. Once we, I told you now, once we make a WhatsApp group, I will start sending you the material, guys. That's a easy platform because otherwise I have to send individually on your email addresses and all, or otherwise I have to send to team people and they will send you. Instead of that, I'll try to upload all the materials in our WhatsApp group because soon we're going to make a WhatsApp group so that you can talk to us if you have any questions and all. Okay, after Monday, that is all possible after Monday. If not, I will send you. If it is urgent, I will send you. But be relaxed initially. I told you, don't worry. Don't start anything now. Don't burden yourself. Be relaxed and learn Python. Okay, that's what I can recommend right now. Okay, so let me give a quick overview of development environment so that I can conclude and I can start next topic now. For next half an hour, I can talk about next couple of topics. So we talked about development environment. Okay, so in development environment, first thing I told you, you have to install Python interpreter. Python interpreter. So Python is an interpreted language. So you need to install the Python interpreter. From where you can install Python interpreter, you can type www.python.org/downloads. When you type this slash downloads, what it will do is it will take you to that Python location, and from there you can download the current version of Python. When you're downloading, please check, read the content properly, whether you are setting the path, whether pip is getting installed or not, and it hardly takes 2 to 3 minutes to get installed. So once you download and install the Python version, I told you you go to command prompt and check whether it Python is working or not by simply typing Python-v will simply tell you the Python version of. Then once you get installed, then you can start writing your Python program. So I told you there are many ways to write your Python program. So first way, according to our, if you ask me what we are going to follow, if you ask me what we are going to follow, I'm going to start with IDLE first. Then I'm going to start introduce you PyCharm. Then I'm going to introduce you Atom. Then I'm going to introduce you Jupyter Notebook or Spider. Okay, this is the way I'm following now. I will start with GUI shell IDLE for few sessions, and then I'll shift to PyCharm, then Atom, then Jupyter Notebook and Spider or any other IDE I will work with. But believe me, these IDEs will not make your programming different. Programming remains same. Programming remains same. Only the environment gets changes. Like someday I may write in blackboard, someday I may write in green board, someday I may write in whiteboard. The environment changes, but the things are same. The colors, the syntax, whatever I use will be same. Understood, Shikawat? I hope this makes clear to you now. Don't worry, stick to this IDLE now. Don't worry about other things unnecessary. But I'll show you how to launch IDLE and how to write the Python program. So if you write one or two programs now, you will get familiar with. You will get your confidence level increase. But don't worry, once you install Python, if you have IDLE, that's more than enough for you. Other things you don't worry. This is only for your knowledge. Please, guys, don't get misunderstood. This is, I told you, this for your knowledge. I can directly start with ideally as a revision, as a backup class, but still I thought, I believe that everyone should have a complete knowledge because I totally believe in good foundation. If you understand Python in a better way, then result will be good. Like because we are learning this Python to become a data scientist or to make some big machine learning or artificial intelligence application which are very much in demand. So Python is one of the popular or topmost programming language which everybody should learn in a perfect way. That's our basic requirement, right? So if your requirement is big, so our understanding should also be complete. It should be 100%. I don't want anybody here to leave our session with doubt. That is what I believe. So always I will keep last 10 minutes or anyhow I will keep asking you every time that what any doubt and all. But at the end of the session also I would like to answer your questions. Okay. At the end also I would like to answer your questions. So now let me go here for the third point for today's session, which is nothing but writing your Python code. Okay, writing Python code. Writing Python code. Okay, so there was a question. Show me how to check pip hyphen version. Okay, if you wanted to check the pip version, you need to go to command prompt again, and here you simply type pip hyphen capital V. Pip hyphen capital V. If you type pip hyphen capital V, it will show you the pip version. Very simple. Clear? So there was a question. Show me how to check pip version, and this is how you check the pip version. Okay, thank you for confirming. Let's get back. So let's see how to write the Python code now. How to write the Python code. First thing, let me tell you guys, writing Python code is very easy compared to other programming languages like C, C++, and Java. Okay, writing Python code is very easy when compared to C, C++, Java, because in C, C++ and all, you need to learn a lot of things just to write print hello world. You need to learn a lot of unnecessary things. Like you will be starting with hash include stdio, main function, then you're writing printf function. Okay, a lot more stuff you will be writing int main, return zero. So a lot of things. Like to explain you hello world program, for me at least, you know guys, I required minimum 4 hours to just teach you hello world program in C language. So I'm talking about myself. Like if I wanted to teach you a hello world program, hello world program, let me tell you so that you can understand how easy it is in Python. True with every statement, I'm just taking an example of hello world program. To explain you hello world program guys in C language, I specially required minimum 4 to 5 hours to explain you hello world program. In Java, I required at least 6 to 7 hours to teach you hello world program because I have to talk a lot of unnecessary things. What is hash, what is include, what is stdio, what is mean by header file, why int main, what are the different standards, why we write int main, what it takes argument, why return zero. For every topic, I will take half an hour to 1 hour to discuss that because I believe in elaboration. Because if you wanted to crack any interview, the only funda or anything, the only funda is get a more knowledge about it. Have a complete knowledge. Then nobody can confuse you and nobody can stop you getting from good job or high package job. Because I told you once you become a data scientist, you can earn in lakhs, guys. I told you with a fresher, they are ready to pay you 30, 40 lakhs per annum. And with experience, they are ready to pay you 75 to 80 lakhs per annum. Don't you think it's a huge actually thing? And people are getting it, guys. After Python, people are getting it. Only with Python also you can get a job, but minimum like 1 lakh per month or something. You can get it very easily with Python. But I believe that you will not stop Python after that because data science is one of the very like profitable, like and like hot topic, hot kind of thing these days. But with Java, it's very easy, guys. I can teach you hello world program. I don't have to teach you anything. I just need to talk about print function, and I can teach you like how to write a hello world program. Because in C and Java, we will discuss unnecessary things a lot. Like in Java, we need to discuss what is class, what is public, what is static, what is void, what is main, what is string argument, what is system, what is out, what is println. For there are a lot of things I need to talk about unnecessary just to teach you hello world program. I'm talking about one example. It is true with every example, guys. So Python is very less code, guys. Python uses very less code to write your program. So one of the advantage of writing Python code, you can write in few lines actually. You can write in few lines. So let's see that how to write your Python code now. So to write your Python code, first thing what you need to learn is basically for every programming language. So the definition of any program is generally, the definition of a program is, a program is actually set of instructions. It's a set of instructions. Okay, it's set of instructions which take which takes input from user, which takes input from user, process it and produce output to the user. Produce output to the user. So this is a definition of a program actually. A program is a set of instructions which take inputs from user and process it and produces outputs to the user. So every programming language must take an input and must produce an output. Must take an input and must produce an output. Okay, so set of instruction means it will follow its own syntax to write the code. It's a group of instructions given to a computer system which takes in and which runs your code. Like in our addition of two numbers, I shown you in addition of two numbers that I wrote a program something like this. I wrote I wrote a program like a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 3. Then I wrote c is equal to a plus b, c is equal to a plus b. Then I wrote simply print c. You see how easily I can write my addition of two numbers now. Okay, I can write a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, c is equal to a plus b and print c. Certain things you have noticed here, like especially if you are like attending this session for the first time, certain things you have noticed here. The first thing, there is no declaration. First thing, you have seen that there is no declaration of variables in Python. These are called variables. A, B, C are variables here now. So these three are variables. So A, B, C are variables. So you don't declare these variables in Python because Python is dynamically typed. Python is a dynamically typed. Your C, C++, Java and all, they are statically typed programming languages, guys. Python is a dynamically typed programming language. What is meant by dynamically typed programming language? It means that the data types will be decided at runtime. It means that data types will be decided at runtime. Now, if I just go you here to prove you whether Python is dynamically typed or statically typed, if I go here now, if I if I just open a script, if I open a script here, open some file like demo, okay, and here I said enter something, okay, I'm taking an input, I'm printing a type of A. So especially a question to the people who are attending this session for the first time, can you tell me what is the data type for A now? What is the data type for A? Type will actually print you the data type, what data type it belongs to. I'm taking an input from user and printing what is the data type of A. By looking at this code, can you tell me which data type A belongs to? But if you write C program and Java program, you must declare this A, otherwise you will get error, A is not declared. So you must say int A, int B, int C, something like that. So that is called declaration. You don't see any data type in Python. Okay, no Srinivas, it's not a string type, it totally depends on what you enter. If you enter 2, it says I'm integer type, I'm integer type. If you enter, yeah, it depends on user. If you enter 3.14, it will tell you it's float type. If you enter something like 2 plus 3j, it will tell you I am complex. So this depends on the user now, what you entering. So the data type will be decided at runtime. The data type will be decided at runtime. Aditi, this is how it works actually. That's what meaning of dynamically typed. Dynamically typed means the data type will be decided at runtime based on the value what you give. The Python interpreter will decide, okay, it belongs to integer type or float type and all. It see your input and then it will decide declare the variable now. Okay, thank you Aditi for confirming. Others, is it okay? Did you all understood what is meant by dynamically typed programming language? Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you. Anybody having any question regarding this thing called dynamically typed programming language? Anyhow, we'll elaborate this when we discuss memory management, guys. I think this week we have one interesting session called memory management. So data types are pre-decided or known by the Python itself, right? 100% Shikawat. So data types are pre-decided. Pre-decided means it will decide at runtime, but it is decided by Python interpreter, not by you. That's the thing in Python. Okay, so good. That's what I'm asking. You should come up with your question because I can understand how you're taking it. So thank you, Shikawat, for asking question. So first thing you noticed here that there is no variable because it is no declaration because it is dynamically typed. Otherwise, it is same. If you write the same program in C language, you will write like this, right? You will say int main, you'll say int main include whatever you want, then you will say int a comma b comma c semicolon, then you will write a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, c is equal to a plus b. See, all the statements are same except few extra things. So there is no need for declaration in Python, and you can start directly by using the variables. So programs are same whether you write in C, Java or Python, the approach will be different. So that's why Python is popular because it is very less compared to any other programming language, and there are a lot more features we will talk when we go for it. So there is no declaration. Second point is there is no semicolons. You don't need to use any unnecessary semicolons here now. You see, a lot of time you end up with an error in other programming language like semicolon is missing, open brackets is missing. So you'll not find any open brackets, no closing brackets, no semicolon. No extra things, guys, because Python developer wanted to make the Python programming language simple to learn. No extra stuff. Okay, and then you add the expression as usual and print the variable. So this is how you write the program in Python. So let me write it and show you. I already did it, but let me show you again. So what I will do is I'll close this Python 2 version. Okay, I'll close this or minimize, no problem. I'll minimize this and I'll take you to the Python 3 now. So you can see here I wrote a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, c is equal to a plus b, and print c. So I'm taking these two values and running. So when I run this code now, you see here the output will be 5 again. Previously also I got 5 and again I got 5 as well. If I run this code again, what will be the output, guys? What will be the output? If I run this program again, 5. Very good. True, right? The other same output, 5. But what if I like this program, if I have given to someone, they run the program, every time they'll get the answer as 5. Okay, if they wanted to add something like 21 and 32, then again they have to come to you and ask to you that please change the value so that I can add. Now you change the values, you run the code, this time you'll get the different answer as 53. You get the different answer as 53 this time. So you have to keep opening this program and changing, which is not a good idea. So that's why we are introducing something like input and output. We are introducing something like input and output in program. So let's talk about little bit in detail about how we take input in Python and how we write output to the console. Okay, input and output functions. Input and output functions in Python. So first thing I will tell you, for taking input in Python, we do have input function. We do have input function to take input from user. To take input from user, we have this input function, and we have print function to take to print output to user. To print output to user on console actually. Okay, on console it will print on console. Console means it can be like black screen or just you have seen. So input is a function which takes input from user, and output is a function which prints output to the user. And something similar like scanf and printf. This is like scanf and this is like printf. If you are from C background, this is like scanf and this is like printf. But they are very much different because scanf and printf both have issues in C language. See, every programming language struggles for taking input and output. Believe me, Python input and output is very flexible and very easy. And one more thing is they are from built-in module. They are from built-in module. Modules are like packages in Python, guys, which contain functions. Okay, modules are like packages in Python which contain functions, like your header files in C language, stdio.h, conio.h, math.h. These are called modules. Okay, these are called modules. So they are available in built-in module. And remember, built-in module is default imported. Default imported, meaning it's default imported, meaning that you don't have to import this module now. If you are using input function, print function, and many other functions which are available in built-in module, you don't have to import them. Other than that, if you are using math, some function like sqrt, suppose you are using some function like sqrt for finding square root, but this is not available in built-in module. This is available in math module. This is available in math module. So you have to import them like this. You have to say import math. Okay, you have to say import math. So that's what I wanted to tell you, the difference between built-in module and other module. If you are using any other module, you have to import them, guys. That will be our first line in your program. Otherwise, you will not import if you are using basic functions. Is that clear? What is meant by importing in Python? So if I tell you that this function is available in so and so module, then you have to import that module. If I tell you that this function is available in built-in module, then you don't have to import. Yeah, importing means if you are using any function, Shikawat, are you familiar with this line hash include stdio in C language? Okay, so why are you including this file? Because your printf and scanf is available here. Something similar in Python also, you have to import the modules. The like header file in Python, we have modules. They are called modules, not header files in Python. So this module contains functions. But I told you, if you are using input and output function, you don't have to import anything because they are available in built-in module. They are available in built-in module, which is defaultly imported. You don't have to import again. But if you are using any other module like math module, regular expression module, random module, okay, there are hundreds of modules are available, then you have to import them. Understood, Shikawat? Okay, yeah, like a directory, very good. Like a directory or a package or something which contains group of functions. Okay, so that's why when we wrote this program, I did not imported anything. You see, I'm using printf function, but I did not imported anything because this printf function is available in built-in module. Now I'm going to use input in this program now, because taking input from user is always better. So I will not write this code. I will take input from user now. So I will replace this number with input function. So again, I'm not importing anything because this function is also defaultly available. So I'm taking input, first line input from user. So it will take input from user and store it in A. And second, again, I'm taking input from user and store it in B. I will add both of them and I will print the answer. Okay. Now I will run the code. And as usual, question to the people who have joining this session or attending this session for the first time or attending Python for the first time. Question to you all, like my cursor is waiting for input now. I will enter first value 2 and I will enter the second value called 3. So now can you tell me, oh sorry, I thought of stopping there to ask you question, but it got executed and get me the answer as 23. Supposed to be the answer as 5, but we are getting the answer as 23. Can you at least tell me why the answer is 23, not 5? I'm adding two numbers now, but I got the answer as 23, not 5. Why the answer is 23, not 5? Why the answer is 23, not 5? Very good. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for confirming me. Uh, okay, for others, I will explain. No problem. Those who know, they have confirmed me privately. Thank you for making privacy. Okay, for some questions and all, for suspense, we need to make privacy. Saif, Kiran, Satyam, they all understood and they have sent me privately. Okay, thank you for that. But let me explain you the syntax of input function, guys. Okay, let me explain you the syntax of input function. Okay, I'm explaining now. Okay, no problem, Shikawat, I'm explaining now. Okay, so now the syntax of input function is you will write input like this. Okay, you will write input like this now. Okay, so okay, you will say input, and I told you it will take optional prompt value, which can be like enter any number, enter your name, whatever you want, you can write it. And that's what we learn in Python 3. In Python 3, the input function always returns you the string as an input. Returns string value. Always it will return string value, whatever you enter. Whether you enter 2, whether you enter 3, whether you enter 3.14, whether you enter any value, it will always be written as a string, guys. It will always be written as a string. Like in my program now, if I go and give a floating point value, if I go here and give a floating point value, I will close this and run once again. If I go here and give a floating point value now you see here now what happens if I say 3.14 plus 5.67. Can you tell me what will be the answer now? 3.14 and 5.67. What will be the answer now? Anybody? Same program, taking input, taking second input, adding 2 and printing C. But this time I am passing floating point value 3.14 and 5.67. So what do you think the answer will be now? Okay, okay, I'm getting different answers, but answer will be this one 3.145.67. No, it will not add. It will not add. It simply concatenates. It simply concatenates. Okay, why it's getting that answer? Yeah, very good, guys. Why that getting an answer? Because that's what I told you, it will always returns a string. It always returns a string because whenever you plus symbol is used for concatenation, guys. Let me talk about this plus symbol in Python. Oh, I need to use a different pen again. Okay, that's a problem, but it's okay. So this is called concatenation. Concatenation means you can, if you take first string and say world, you know what will be the output now? If I say hello plus world, this is not addition symbol, guys. This is concatenation. So plus can be used as addition or concatenation. If you use with numbers, it becomes an addition. But if you use with string, it becomes concatenation. So that's what the confusion. That's why we did not get the error here that string cannot be added. So very good, Ubul. Thank you. It gives you hello world. It gives you hello world, guys, right? Those who ask me how, like Vishwajit, Shikawat, you ask me like how it we are getting that answer. So first you understood this hello plus world will give you hello world. This is called concatenation. Concatenation means adding strings. Concatenation means adding strings actually. So tell me what will be the answer if 2 is a string and 3 is also a string? What will be the answer now? Very good. It's 23. It's concatenation. It's concatenation. Right? So 2 and 3, it becomes 23. If I say 2, 3 as an integer, then 2, 3 as an integer, then 5. That's what. If it is a single or double quotes, you will treat them as a string. If it is not a single quotes, they are treated as an integer. So that's the difference between. So do you think that this and this is same? Do you think both are same? This plus and this plus is same? No, no, Satyam. No, no, Ubul. This plus is called concatenation operator. Okay? No, acting differently. So they are different operators now. Looking same, but they are different operator. This concept is called operator overloading. This concept is called operator overloading. So plus operator is overloaded. So if you are using with string, it is called concatenation. If you use with integer, they are called addition, guys. So that's what the confusion. Understood? Everyone? Please confirm now. Please confirm. That's why when I asked 3.14 plus 5.67 as a string, it has been concatenated and I got 3.14, 5.67. Both are got concatenated because they are strings. Just excuse me, guys. 1 minute. Someone at door. So everybody understood now? Because it's concatenating. This is treated as a string. This is treated as a string. Yeah, thank you, Kiran. Vishwajit, you got the point now? Why the answer is 3.14567? Because both strings are combined actually, not added. It's not adding, it's combining. Because input function is returning you always as a string. So with string, if you use plus symbol, it will be concatenated, guys. This knowledge is very important because you will end up with wrong result. See, we expected some result in our program and we got the wrong result. We expected something like 9 point something, but we got something different answer now. Yeah, we have not given in quotes, but it will always take it as in string only. It will convert into string whatever you enter. You have given float, no doubt, Ram. You have given float, but input function will always convert into string. That's what I told you. That's why I told you here that it will always return you as a string. Very good, Vishwajit. Understood everyone now? Whatever you enter, it will convert into string now. It will automatically add that quotation. You have not given quotation, but it will add quotations to it. That's what the meaning of input function. Yeah, if you wanted to add now, that's a good question. If you wanted to add now, then okay, you store it in some variable, right? If you wanted to add them, then Python has given you some more functions. Python has given you some more functions like int function to convert into integer, float function to convert into float, okay, eval function to convert into any type. So these are conversion functions. Conversion functions. To type conversion functions, it is also available in built-in module. So you can convert them. It is your responsibility, guys, to convert them into your form. Like in this case, I wanted to convert into integer form, right? I wanted to convert into integer form now. So what you can do is, you can input function, you can write inside input in function. So it will convert into integer now. Now you are telling that you take as a string, but you convert into integer and store it in a variable A. So you are forcefully converting string to integer now. Understood everyone? They are functions, not data types, Ubul. They are functions. See, functions will followed by parentheses. They are not data types. Understood all? Okay, if you are getting confused, I will do this way now. Like, what I will do is, you know, A and B is in string, right? I will take X, convert that A to integer now. Actually, it's supposed to be used like this, but I'm writing in shortcut way. So always whenever you take parentheses, it's a function, guys. Now tell me, AB are of which type? AB are of which type now? Tell me. This is the actual code, but I wrote in shortcut way. AB are in which form? No, 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 no. They are string. They are string because input will always return string. AB are of string type. XY are of which type? Integer type, because I have converted into integer. That's what, guys. String to integer. This is how you convert. This is how you convert from string to integer now. So A has been converted to integer. B has been converted to integer. Should I add AB or XY now? Should I add AB or XY? XY, very good, because AB is still string. So I need to add X plus Y. I need to add X plus Y, then you will get the proper answer. Then you will get the proper answer now. Now I can say 2 and 3, I will get 5. 2 and 3, I'm not getting 23 as before, I'm getting 5 now because it has been converted. Instead of writing this big code and unnecessary extra variables, what we did is we directly converted here itself. We directly converted at the time of taking input only. But make sure you close the parenthesis properly. Writing this input function directly inside int function. Understood this syntax? Understood the difference between previous code and this code? Which is better, guys? This one or the previous one? Which is better? This one. Because in one line, right? Because in one line I'm taking input and converting properly. So that's what, guys, this is a shortcut way. This is a shortcut way, so don't get confused. So this time I will add A and B here, A and B here. I'll run the code and you'll see here it will work fine. I can give any number, it will add me. I can give any number, it will add me, get me the answer. 34 plus 78 gives you 112. Yeah, that's what I will teach you, that required more knowledge. If you want, I will show you at the end of the session, but it requires more knowledge. But I'll show you how to take input in one line. Sometimes it's required for competitive programming that you wanted to take input in one line. It's possible, guys. Python is so interesting, guys. You will love to see that how we take input in one line. That's possible. But now we are writing in two different lines. We can write in one line also. See, I'm not declaring. That's what, guys, I told you int is not a data type here now. But I'm converting because I know it's taking string. I want integer, so I'm converting. But it happens at runtime only. It happens at runtime. A and B will be declared as a variable of integer type at runtime. I did not use any variable, right? Yeah, definitely, Ubul. We all love Python program because it is very, very interesting. Believe me, till the day end of the session, you will feel like you're enjoying actually. Okay? So A and B I have not declared. Understood? Okay, so it's not a data type. I'm converting into the appropriate type. Still, I can work without this, right? I'm not getting my code. Or you can convert at the time of adding also. You can convert at the time of adding also, wherever you want. But make sure it's reading string, so you are converting but not declaring. So that's the difference between declaration and conversion. Declaration and conversion. Like if you're still having confusion, Aditi, I will show you with Java. I'll show you with Java. Okay. See, in Java also, if you're writing a Java program now, you will declare a variable int a. And you know, when you wanted to read it, you will use a method called nextInt. You will use a method called nextInt to read that in some scanner class, and then you will store it in a variable. So what you're doing, you're telling that you declare a variable a, and you're telling them you read it as an integer value, converting into integer and then storing in a. Something similar, Aditi. So you're declaring as well as you are using the function to convert. But in Python, I'm only using the function to convert but not declaring it. So this is what statically typed means. This is what statically typed means. Okay, good question. So let me answer that question as well. Rajshekhar, actually, the thing is, okay, let me put that question. The thing is, variables have some rules. Anyhow, I will discuss those rules. That variable has some rules that You should not start with a number. There should be no gap. Like if you declare total marks as a variable, do you think that is a good? Is it a good variable name? Do you think it's a good variable name? Total marks. No. Why it's not a good variable name? It's not a good variable name. Why? Because there is a gap. So you should not have a gap. So that's why any programming languages tells that if you wanted to declare any variable and it has multiple words, use underscore. Very good, Upul. Use underscore. Total marks. Okay, underscore actually increases the readability. So to connect two different names without giving a gap, we can use underscore. So why we use underscore? That is what your question, to increase the readability. Understood? Okay, so that's what, to increase the readability, we use underscore for the variable names if they have multiple words. If they have multiple words. But actually there is another way a programming language follows something called camel case rule. They'll start with small letters and give capital letters for every word now. So that is called camel case rule. So this is also preferable. Because why we are making, to understand. If I write this total marks without gap, it is less readable. You cannot say where the first word is ending, where the second word is starting. So that's why either you use underscore or use this way. So good question from Rajshekhar, that why we use underscore for the variable name, just for readability. This is for readability. Anyhow, I will teach you the rules of variable names, how to give the names to the variable. Okay, I will give the rules. But now is it okay? Understood everyone? Very good. Now if you wanted to convert into float, I will use float here now. I will use float to convert into float. I will use float to convert into float. I will close this screen and run again. This time I have converted into float now. I will run again. Shikawat, space is not allowed in variable name. That's the rule. Rule is you cannot use space in a variable name. Okay, so it's against the rule because he thinks that two variables, right? If we give a space, he thinks that it's a two variables actually. So that's why none of the programming language allows you to declare the variable. That's why they introduce this underscore so that you can make that as readable. Now you see, I will enter 3.14 and 5.67. This time you will get the answer as 8.81. This time I'm not getting concatenated. I'm getting the correct result because I have converted into appropriate type. So it's whose responsibility to convert it to appropriate type in Python? This is little headache, but you have to take care, guys. Because for safe side, Python has always converted into string type. Now it is your responsibility to convert into appropriate type. Same thing you did in Java, you did in C and all, but C program and all, they are risky because if you change the format specifier, things will go wrong. So that is why it is your responsibility to change into appropriate type. Yeah, very good, Aditi. The one who are writing the code, it is their responsibility to change the code in appropriate type. To change the code in appropriate type, it is their responsibility. Understood, everyone? Okay, thank you. So this is all about input function in Python 3. Okay, this is all about input function in Python 3. So let me write one simple program here. Okay, let us see that, let us pick up one program and try to solve that problem. Okay, let's go here and let's pick up a problem and try to solve that problem. The problem which we haven't done, let us solve that problem. I think this is a problem, let us solve it now. Okay, it says that the volume of a sphere with a radius r is 4 by 3. Okay, 4 by 3 pi r cube. What is the volume of sphere with radius 5, or any input actually? You need to ask what enter the radius, and you have to print the volume of sphere with the radius 5. Can we write this program now? We have to find the volume of a sphere. I have given the formula and we have to use this formula. 4 by 3 pi r cube is the formula. So we know the formula. We need to take input and we need to print the output. Check, are you getting the same result or not? I'll give you 2 minutes. If you have installed, then you do it. Otherwise, wait, write it in the notebook, get ready so that I will explain you. Completed, guys? It's very simple code, only 3 lines. I think hardly it will take 1 or 2 minutes to write this program. Okay, meantime, let me talk about this program now. What is the requirement? What is the requirement for this program? Okay, first of all, the formula is 4 by 3 pi r cube is the formula, right? So you can see sample input output. First of all, I need input function. I need input function now. Okay, I need input function, and also in which form I have to convert now? Which form I have to convert? First thing I need, what functions you require, you need to see now. To write this program, what functions you require? You require input function, we are taking from user. Any other function, guys? First find out what are the things you require to write your program. What are the functions from which module? Okay, very good. Very good. Some of you have already sent me the code. That's perfect. But there are little problems, guys. I will like to help you out. Okay, we require input function. And also, do you agree that we required int function to convert into integer? Okay, and they are available in built-in module. Built-in module. So I don't need to import them. I can use input function and int function. And also, I required math module. I required math module here. Why I required math module? Because math module has a variable called pi. Math module has a variable called pi. So I need to import math because it is not defaultly imported. So this is a requirement for my program now. So always you do this paperwork, guys, to identify what is your program. So the program is to take input and to calculate this thing. But here I have pi now, so pi cannot be used directly. It is not available in my computer system. So I can use from math module, or you can write directly 3.14, but better use this pi from math module. That's why they provided the precise value of the pi value. Okay, and also if you remember, I also required this round function. I also required this round function because I'm rounding it with 3 digits now. So this is the prerequisite for my program. So whenever you look at the sample input output, this is what the paperwork you have to do. If you do this work, enough for me, guys. No need to write the program. If you can identify what things you require to write the program, means you already solved 80% of the problem. Already you solved 80% of the problem. Now you have to implement it. Let's start writing with these functions now. So we required input function, we required int function, we required round function to round it off, and we also required this pi variable from math module, and obviously print function. Sorry, I forgot. Obviously I required print function to print the output. So these are the 4 functions I am using from built-in module, and one variable from math module. So first thing in my program, what I will do is I will import them. Sorry. First thing in my program I will do is I will import them, right? I will say import math because I'm using math now. First line. Next line, I will use radius r is equal to, I will convert into integer and I will say input inter radius. Inter radius, some spelling I will write it, inter radius, two brackets to be closed now. So I'm importing math because of pi and I'm saying int of input inter radius. Okay, now what I will do is I will calculate the volume. V is equal to, I wanted to calculate the volume, and what is the formula? 4 by 3 pi r cube. 4 by 3 pi r cube. So I will write 4 by 3 multiply with math.pi, because I cannot write pi directly, multiply with r, multiply with r, multiply with r cube. This is how you write r cube. Or shortcut way, in Python there is a power of operator also, but power cube will find the power cube. So either you use this way or you use the other way, r multiply with r. Let us make it simple because you don't know that operator. Let's make it simple. So we calculated the volume. Now I have to print. Now I have to print. How to print? Let me copy that sentence directly. Let me copy that sentence directly now. Okay, so I will say volume of so and so. I want the output exactly same. So I will go here to my program. I will write in single quotes. I will copy this. But here in this place, I wanted to write that radius value. So I will write comma and I will write it outside the thing. And is, I wanted to print it as a string, so I will write it comma. And here I wanted to round it off. I wanted to round it off the answer. The result is in volume. I wanted to round it off with 3 digits. So this is my print function, guys. So volume of sphere with radius is string. So I have written in single quote. So that will be as it is. This will be as it is. Radius value I want to print. That's why this is in R now. I'm printing R value. Is again string, so is to be as it is. And then I'm using round function to round that value by 3 digits. The volume will be rounded off. Now let us give the same input and see that what happens now. Are we getting the same result or not? I'll give the radius as 5 and we are getting the same result as you see here now. Volume of sphere with radius 5 is 523.599. And am I getting what? Radius of sphere with radius 5 is 523.599. Understood everyone? Is it clear with the program? No, you don't need to require math function every time, guys. Only if you are using anything from math function like pi, sqrt, then only you will import, otherwise not required. Like if I am using 3.14 directly, then not required, guys. 3.14, you know that pi value, right? Then I don't require. I'll still get the same result. I'll still get the same result, guys. I'll say enter 5, it will get me same result. But this time you see the precision got changed because I didn't use that big pi value. So that's why the result is little different now. Yes, it means any module we are importing that should be mentioned. That's correct. That's correct. If you are using any thing, you should import them. Right now I'm not using math.py, so that's why you see I didn't imported math, because this is a very common question. We think that any mathematical problem we need to import math. No, mathematical programs don't require math module. If you are using any functionality from that module, then only you will import them. Otherwise you will not import them. Understood everyone? Yes, math.power is a function. Very good. Math.power is a function. Yes, to find the power, there is a function called POW. We can use them. So now we are concluding for today. So any questions regarding input and output? Anyhow, output I will explain once again, because still we have to discuss a lot about print function. But at least can we conclude about input function now? How we take input? how we solve the problem and how we print the answer. And especially people who missed our session or attending for first time today, please confirm that you understood everything, and especially if you can write this program, it's enough, guys. If you understood all the way what we wrote in this program, it means you're done. That's the thing we learn. Okay, thank you, Kiran, for confirming. Yeah, thank you, Aditi. Yeah, thank you, Raj Shekhar. Yeah, thank you, Daljit Singh. Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Bul. Yeah, thank you, Satyam. Thank you, Prashanti. Especially the people who said that you're attending the session for the first time. Thank you, Raman. If you understood, it's very perfect, guys. And please don't worry, as it is backup session, still you may not have 100% confidence. So I will help you out in our regular sessions, guys. Always you can ask me any question if you get, I will help you out. But whatever we discuss, it's more than enough to proceed for our next sessions. From tomorrow, we have next sessions. Yeah, thank you, Narendra. Thank you, everyone. So see you all tomorrow at 7. Yeah, thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Raman. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Saif. Yeah, thank you, Daljit. Yeah, thank you, Venkat. Thank you, Vishwajit. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a good day. And very much thank you for attending on Sunday. Okay, being Sunday, you all are here. So that shows like how you love Python. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Have a good day.